Everyone to the Wednesday, August 24th, 2022 business meeting of the Richmond Community School Board of Trustees. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could have a reading of the mission and vision.
Richmond Community Schools guide students on pathways of learning to a future of limitless possibilities.
Vision statement of Richmond Community Schools is a community nurturing mind, body, and spirit to prepare students for lives of choice, purpose, and service.
Thank you both. Moving on to item 2, celebrations. Dr. Reich.
President Weber, trustees, I ask that Mrs. Bridget Hazelbaker, our communications coordinator, join us in introducing tonight's celebratory citizen.
Hello. Sergeant Mr. Come up here for a moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark Morris. He is a former Westview student, a former dentist student, and a 1971 graduate of Richmond High School. He is a retired car salesman here in Richmond, and also a retired command sergeant major with the U.S. Army. And he has been helping our schools by replacing flags for our schools. So whenever our schools maybe have a tattered flag or something, he volunteers and donates that to our schools. And then that tattered flag, he will also they have a ceremony to kind of cremate that flag. And this is also my dad.
Oh.
So.
There's the lead.
So anybody have any questions?
Well, if I can just, I want to apologize, Mr. Morris, because when I found out and learned that you've been
You
doing.
weren't supposed to know about it. This is all.
Right, I understand. I'm nosy.
If I go back a little bit, I'm talking about several decades ago, there was a gentleman named Phil Loddick.
Yep.
And he thought a lot of him, this gentleman right here, a lot. Okay, and he came out with this program. That program was, we need a flag. Okay. And I helped him for years do this. And he did World War II veteran, or both American Legion, those 65 members. Okay, we sponsored this for years and years. Okay, but he was a World War II veteran. Okay, so he said he put it on me. Okay, it was real quiet, real easy. Okay, the one I really remember real well was Kelly Andrews was the principal
Yes.
of Charles School years ago. They had a Veterans Day program, nice Veterans Day program, invite all the veterans in. Okay, and I gave them a flag, big flag. Okay, and most of your flags will last 6 months, maybe a year. Okay, no biggie. Okay, they kept this flag for 13 years. They had a crew, honor crew. Okay, that would go raise the flag up every day, bring it back down. Okay, and about a year ago, I just replaced that flag. Okay, but I was just surprised, but they had it for 13 years. Okay, fantastic. Made me feel good.
Well, and so again, I do apologize because yes, I am that nosy middle child, and so when I found out after catching you on camera, it was public, so I was able to, no, I'm teasing. After observing you replacing the flag here at the administration building and also at one of our schoolhouses, I then started to raise question, okay, and then I learned that you've been doing this for years.
About 10 years.
Without
With Cliffy. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
That's my son. Yeah.
Go for it, yeah.
He helped, showed boys, and kids, boys and girls how to fold the flag. And then he's also been going to veterans ceremonies, and we've been getting some up for Veterans Day here at the high school also. So about 13 years he's been doing this.
And so again, like I said, I know that you indeed were not looking for any acknowledgement. However, being an old history teacher and knowing what it is that you were indeed selflessly doing for so many years, I simply just want to bring you before the board, exercise a small token of appreciation and to say thank you. Indeed, that is a symbol, as we know, means...
I'm an old man.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And those who know that I'm an old man, okay? An old man tonight is happy, okay? Because you guys said thank you.
Yes, sir. Well,
You made an old man happy.
Dad, stop.
well, and so I'm not going to say we had a running bet as to how long it was going to take, and we do have some extra Kleenexes right behind this curtain here. But nevertheless, questions from
But
Mr.
I
Moore?
also think, because there were several years that I even witnessed him in uniform walking around the 4th of July fireworks and that type of stuff. But you had over 30 years, right?
Yeah. I had 40 years in the military.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Retired
that in
military.
itself.
Okay, but every time we had fireworks ceremony, I was in charge of color guard.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, part of that was security-wise, to make sure, and he had a couple children that needed to be protected. Okay, so we made sure our people took care of that, but make sure people in the crowd behaved themselves. Okay, so we had walking patrols. And I'm like, yesterday I did that for years. The main thing for me was at Earlham College, we're having a Veterans Day program or Memorial Day program, and I go up there and see a tattered flag. Terrible, okay? My job is to make sure that flag is presentable before everybody got to it. Okay, and that's very important. But thank you.
Well, no, hey, and I think the nickname is but well earned, also literally Sarge. We thank you.
Please call me Sarge.
As I've gotten in trouble by acknowledging this, Mr. Morris, but we definitely thank you. We appreciate you. Others, absolutely.
Thank you for mentioning Phil, but he exemplifies patriotism, not just for the years that he served, but if you ever go to, whether it be the fireworks, Memorial Day celebration, Veterans Day celebration, you will see Command Sergeant Major Morris spit polished and shine in his uniform. A lot of people retire, whether it be in the military, law enforcement, firefighters, and everything else. 2 weeks after they retire, that uniform doesn't fit anymore. If you look at him, you would think that he is still standing a post at the Arlington National Cemetery or something like this. Again, I appreciate it because you have been a much welcome veteran of our community and always have taken care of us.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to item 3, public commentary. I will read a brief statement. The Board of School Trustees recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on corporation matters. The board wants to ensure that the public feels welcome and that the concerns are answered in an efficient and timely manner. The maximum time for an individual speaker is 5 minutes per person. The board expects personal decorum and factual information from the speaker. The president reserves the right of to interrupt the speaker when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, and obscene, or if it interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Comments recognizing the work of staff and students are always welcome. However, critical remarks concerning specific school personnel or students are to be made through the complaint process available in policy 8130. School board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting. The public participant will receive personal follow-up email from the board president within a week. Thank you. Mrs. Claypool?
There are 7.
All right, with 5 minutes. All right.
5
We'll
minutes.
go 5 minutes.
Okay. Linda Isaacs.
Hello, everyone. I am the Mid-Indiana Bowling Conference Coordinator here in the state of Indiana, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm sure some of you aren't aware that the Richmond High School boys team went to the national event in Louisville, Kentucky, and I am pleased to let you know that those gentlemen finished 7th in the nation. Some of those kids have graduated now, but you did have one young man. They also have a singles division for every boy that attends. There was around 355 individuals that participated. Carson McDivitt who graduated. They cut down to the first 180 students. He made that along with there was a couple other kids, but they didn't make the second cut. But Carson made the second cut to the top 80. He also made the third cut to the top 40. He made the fourth cut to the top 20. And then he made the fifth cut to the top 12. And he did not make the last 8. But Carson ended up bowling 21 games in one day.
Wow.
All throughout the day.
Wow.
Still have a fun day.
That does not include, that does not include the team event of bowling 15 more games in the same day. So it was a weekend event. They started on Saturday. Richmond made the cut to the top 40. There was 52 schools that were present at this event. They made the first cut to the top 40. They made the second cut to the top 24. Then they made the top 12 with a score of 4,030 pins for the day. And then they did not make the top 4, but they finished 7th in the nation with a score of 52-42 to round out the stats. I am asking that our bowling season is about to start. We do start October the 10th, and it runs from October to the end of January. These kids are much in need of support from the school and the school board. They raise their own funds to support this program. I'm a little saddened to say that after 33 years, this will be my last year with the program. They're trying to get me to stay, but it's time for the younger generation to move on and move into the spot. So I would like the support of the school this year. And I also have one other comment. Folks, Richmond High School does not take our trophies and display them in the school. We are running out of room at Richmond 40 Bowl. We had a trophy case that was donated to us. There is no more room in that trophy case. These trophies are now sitting on top of the case, on top of the lockers, risk getting destroyed. We would like to turn those over to you folks here at Richmond High School. Some way, somehow. Like I said, there are several. I have a photo of this trophy case. Mr. Dunham, I think he's a school maintenance man here at the school also. He can tell you.
1 minute.
And we would like to turn those over to you if you would gladly accept those and display those in the school. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you for your 33 years of service.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's impressive.
I just want you all to know that the boys did finish 7th, and I thought that they needed to be recognized today.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right.
Sincerely appreciate you coming and sharing such, and more importantly, we're definitely looking forward to that schedule, and we'll be there.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Beth lives. Ready?
Okay. I'm ready. So I left my email address back there. I did not write my email address last time. I just missed it. So it's back there now if anybody wants to shoot me an email. But I'm here today out of concern with our students at Test. After my daughter witnessed a fight at school with blood, as she says, it's come to my attention that there is not a full-time school resource officer at Test. I and several other parents were under the impression that there was an officer there all day, every day. And so I find that a little frustrating. Simply having an office and a floater officer, or just an office designated to an officer and a guy that comes in sometimes, is completely unacceptable to me and a lot of other parents. I feel like there needs to be someone who is trained in de-escalation and safety in the building at all times. Not a teacher, they're not social workers, they're not law enforcement. There's 608 students in the building and like 50 staff members. The school is already packed so full, and teachers are already under enough pressure just managing a normal everyday classroom. When I went to the school building and the students were out, it was very overwhelming. It's like there's just so many of them. So my daughter's already witnessed a fight with blood, as she says this year, and we're only a few weeks in. Now, we all know that the Richmond Police Department and the Sheriff's Office will stand in the line of fire to protect any student. They've proven that with their actions in the past, but my issue is time. Calling a local police department or a resource officer at a different school can take minutes, and that's only in an ideal situation where everybody is available and close by and they can just go. When something happens at school, a lot of times action needs to be taken in seconds. We don't have 5 minutes to wait. I was here a few weeks ago and I talked about staffing issues. I know you guys are already short-staffed, and just not having someone in the building all the time isn't doing anything to help the students, the teachers, and the parents feel safe and secure. You guys all know, last year there was a gun scare at Test, and my husband, who is a law enforcement officer, stated that having a resource officer there all the time would have been helpful because it would allow them to enter the building and get guidance instead of relying on the custodian, because all of the teachers were locked in their classroom protecting their students. They couldn't get to him. And thank God it was only a scare, but we all know it can happen, and it can happen anywhere, and it can happen here. From the information I got, Test has the most calls out of all the schools. It's Test. It's not Dennis, it's not the high school, it's Test. And that was information that I was given from the Sheriff's Department. So I think that's probably accurate. I've heard the reasoning behind not having a resource officer at Test is because Test is considered an elementary school. And I would argue that. I mean, I know it is, but these students are adolescents. Their brains are developing, their hormones are raging, and many students they're just as tall as I am. I can walk down that hallway and think these kids could take me out. And there's a lot of students with mental health concerns, depression, and ODD, which is real, and it can be, if not managed properly, it can be dangerous to the student, to the other students, to the teacher, to everybody. It can put them in a pretty dangerous situation. So I just want somebody there who can assist with the students as well, and I'll save my speech for more counselors and social workers and things like that for later. We'll talk about that in another meeting. The other reason that I've heard is budget concerns.
You have 1 minute.
Okay, I'm almost done. My answer is just find it. I know we're spending $800,000 on a new bell tower. I'm also aware that there's grants that you have to get for the bell tower and it has to be spent this way, and the bleachers at the high school, but find a grant, find something where we can have so-and-so is at Test all the time. So I know you're working through things, but what I'm asking you to do is to reconsider having a full-time officer in the building that's dedicated to Test. I would hate for something to happen and then we say, well, we coulda, shoulda, because we need to do everything that we can. And I feel like that's really important, and that's what I am asking of you. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you want to email me, it's back there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tia McCargish.
Hello everyone. So I've got a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to not click on anything that I'm not supposed to there. Hold on. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a problem that has been affecting me at the high school personally. So previously, Mike Shunnenson made sure that kids were entered into the SRI database, whatever, on time. And we were usually able to give this test, this SRI, which gives us Lexile, which allows us to do a lot of things regarding like scaffolding for our kids, knowing data about our kids. We were usually able to give that within the first couple of weeks of school. Well, they just got put in the system a couple of days ago. And that's personally frustrating for me because usually I'm able to work with that information a lot sooner. I deal with students who are lower ability, life skills, etc. And so I can find out a kid reads at the first grade reading level or at the ninth grade reading level, and it becomes super duper difficult for me to give them appropriate text to parse if I have no idea where their reading level is and if I don't have information to work off of. So that's been a challenge this year. I understand that staffing has changed, but the fact that the SRI was this delayed also affects Read 180 kids because they are on a very specific program where they have to go from here to here to here to here to here in a specific amount of time. So the longer that we have to wait, the farther behind those kids are, and they are already kids that are reading 2-3 grade levels behind average. So that's a huge concern for that. So I just wanted to speak to that as being a huge part that was affecting me personally. And I also wanted to, before I got too far, just give a shout out to Ray and my building level admin team because they kind of make things work when I don't think that they should. Like, they figure out a way to make it work for us. And I don't want to always be up here complaining because everybody at the building does so much to make things run smoothly, and I love all of them, and my job does become a lot easier when they are willing to take things off my shoulders. I wanted to also talk about respect. So I've always thought that it was very important to be respectful to others in their time. So I think that making it to your meetings on time and everything like that is super important. There was a mass email that was sent out about like some meetings not being upheld or honored. So I just wanted to speak to that a little bit. Because everybody in the union has, like a time crunch and obligations and stuff like that. So Kelly had a meeting that was scheduled here at central office, and after the meeting was delayed by 45 minutes, she had to go. She had other things that she had to go to. So I just wanted to make sure that, if we're, that we just all respect and honor each other's time obligations. I try my best to be done in 5 minutes and all that stuff. And I just, actually, I think I'm finishing early today for once. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all of the good that you guys do, and I really hope that you guys listen to the improvements that can be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda Mull.
For each side that you guys can pass down and look at. Good evening. As most of you are already aware, my name is Amanda Mull and I teach 8th grade English at Dennis Middle School. Though this year admittedly started out pretty chaotic, many things were solved by our extremely proactive principal in our building. I was not going to speak tonight, but this week I was unfortunately made privy to the fact that our union president, who represents us, was unable to speak with the admin at central office. Our union president is the busiest person I know, and I know because it's a privilege to work in the same building as she does. Last week, as I was having my daily argument with the copier, I caught a glimpse of our president through the window, showing our students the importance of raising and lowering the flag. And that's the picture that you're looking at right now. I honestly have no idea how she is still so diligent with serving our union and teaching our students. I barely survived testing this week and am still surviving testing this week. I need our union president to be able to solve the issues outside of this boardroom. I have 5 boys of my own and I teach 7 classes every day at school. It is absolutely abhorrent to me that I cannot count on the people who are leading our school system to meet with a person who speaks for over 80% of our teachers. It has become so much better, but we are not done. We are not done until every special education job is filled. We are not done until every underpaid paraprofessional is treated with the kindness and wage that they deserve. We are never done because our continual goal should be to reach higher until we are proud of the school system. Teachers are never done, and it is time.
evening. I wanted to start with a thank you to Nicole and Kristen for coming over and helping out with the applied skills classes and helping us out with lunch because, as previously mentioned, we are still really severely understaffed. I wanted to speak to the problem of being understaffed, and it is a safety concern. My wounds are about healed up from an interaction with a student, trying to help them not hurt other students and other staff. The last few days have been a little bit better because our highest need students have been home for one reason or another, so the understaffed doesn't hurt as much. But we have move-in students that are going to be challenging by the looks of reading their IEPs. And when all the students are there and we're not fully staffed, it's going to become a safety issue. So I had more things to say, and if anybody wants to ask about details, behavior problems, medication, toileting, diaper changing, do we have the right male or female to change a male or female student? Women, by the way, are okay to change men, just not vice versa. So if you need those details, but my one question that I keep thinking of is, have you run the numbers? Is it more cost effective to pay out a lawsuit than it is to pay people benefits and good wages that will keep quality people here? Run the numbers. If it makes sense to pay the lawsuit, I guess I can understand that you are operating on a budget sense. But for me, working with, as Patty has said before, the humans and not just the numbers and the STN numbers on a piece of paper, I care about those humans, staff and students, and I want them to be safe and cared for, not just bare minimum we're getting by, but let's thrive. We can do that. Thank you.
Archer, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Archer Bunner. I'm a special education teacher at Richmond High School. Very similarly to what Marianne just spoke about, I'm here to advocate for an increase in the wages for paraprofessional staff. I know that we really need to advocate for an increase of wages in very many areas, and today I'm just advocating for paraprofessional staff. We require them to show proficiency, to take a praxis, to have 1,000 hours in a field, to have 48 college credits, and so many other things that we require them to prove in order for us to hire them. But we're paying them, a significantly less dollar amount than I feel like they deserve for both the work that they perform on a daily basis and the level of proficiency that we ask them to show before we hire them. We're not being competitive with other jobs in Richmond. We're losing people to Walmart, to Kroger, to factories who are making that decision because it makes the most sense for their families and for their financial security. And we're not upset with people for making that decision, but we need to be competitive. We need to keep people in these positions, which are often very draining. They work with our highest needs students, and we want to keep the people who are already doing these difficult jobs, and we need to attract people who are going to stay for the long term. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Patsy Baker.
Well, good evening, President Weber and board members and cabinet and Superintendent Dr. Wright. You probably all know it. I'm Patsy Baker. I've been here for quite some time. It's with great concern that I come before you today. My heart's really heavy with the burdens created, for the most part, by this board and the administrative leadership. I've served this district for longer than some of you have been on this earth. I've seen many superintendents come and go, 20 plus principals, and numerous boards. I lived through a strike when the board president pushed his way through the administration lobby and had the audacity to walk across the board table to get to his seat. His lack of respect and consideration mirrors what I see happening today. Let me explain. You as the board agreed to meet with REA leadership to really hear concerns and develop ways to address the needs of this corporation. We had only one meeting and have yet to schedule another. Why? You have hiring practices that show favoritism to relatives and friends with salaries that don't match responsibilities nor capabilities or performance when those resources could and should be committed to direct services to students and student performance. You have 2 4th-grade classes at Fairview Elementary with 30 students each. 1/3 of those students in each class are identified as special needs. 6 are English language learners, and additionally, students with severe behavior needs are a part of that mix. I'm talking about students who scream, run around the room, and throw things. The students are packed into those rooms with little or no room for anything but sitting. I'd be willing to bet that none of your kids are victims of such circumstances, and if they were, it would be a quick fix. I challenge each of you to survive a day, one day in those rooms. And let me add that school is rated an F school by the state. How do you expect them to meet requirements that move them from a failing school because of your lack of commitment to those families and children? Research clearly tells us there's not enough of the teacher to provide necessary one-on-one instruction and small group instruction in classes that size. Overcrowding increases already difficult discipline issues. Struggling students fall farther behind. Standardized test scores suffer. The chance of successfully improving proficiency on a standardized test decreases as the number of students in the classroom increases. Overall noise level is increased, creating distractions, making it more difficult for students to learn and for teachers to teach. Overcrowding leads to less access to equipment and technology. And by the way, you don't have enough computers. Teacher stress is increasing, leading to teacher burnout. You're already experts at driving teachers from this district. How many more have to go before you wake up? The meager money you pay our paraprofessionals, secretaries and clericals, not to mention our environmental people, is dehumanizing and, in my opinion, immoral. How can you sleep at night knowing that these committed, amazing folks keep coming back despite your disregard and disrespect for what they bring to our children at schools each day? Shame on you. You've driven away some of the most amazing, committed leaders. You stripped RCS of valuable, capable, insightful leaders and replaced them with a level of inexperience and insight that leaves the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. RCS appears to be floundering in the dark with little direction or goal except to make teachers miserable and cheat children of resources. We who are left after the assault are being abused and misused at your discretion. I and others stay because we love our children and families. We're committed in spite of your efforts to destroy things we know and love. I've talked to many teachers who wanted to leave. My state, I plead, was to stick around. We see them come and we see them go. This too shall pass. So in closing, I hope I live long enough to see all those responsible for creating this chaos go. I hope this community will band together in a building and team that advocates for children and their families. I hope I live long enough to see incredible teachers valued and respected once again.
Thank you all. Moving on to item 4, consent items. Dr. Wright.
President Weber, trustees, I come before you to ask for approval of consent items 4.01 through through 4.05 as presented, along with the addendum for 4.02 human resources, sir.
A motion, we approve consent items 4.01 through 4.05, including the addendum at our desk.
Motion by Brad Walton,
Second.
second by Aaron Stevens. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to item 5, action items. Dr. Wright.
President Weber, trustees, I ask that Mrs. Karen Scow, our Chief Financial Officer, join us for action items 5.01 through 5.04. Mrs. Scow.
Good evening. The first action item before you tonight is donations, and this month we would like to thank our community for $3,446.12 in donations. There were donations made to the Civic Hall Proudly Presenting Series, the Summer of E-Learning Conference. Some of our schools received backpack matching program supplies. We also received donations to the RHS Music Department. School supplies were donated by a number of community members to Vail. And then we also had a number of snack donations throughout the district. So it's my recommendation tonight that you approve the donations received in the amount of $3,446.12. And with that, we say thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I'll move that we approve the donations.
Motion by Keith Morey,
I'll second.
second by Nicole Stoltz. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Scout?
Okay, moving on. Before you tonight is a change order for the RHS Mechanical Modernization Project. This is with Carroll Electric, Inc., and it is in the amount of $7,665.95. So I recommend that we would approve this change order tonight as it's been presented.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we approve action item 5.02 with the change orders.
Motion by Kristen Brunton,
Second.
second by Aaron Stevens. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Scout?
Okay, the next action item is the RHS Tower restoration. This original recommendation was brought to the previous board meeting and was tabled. It did go back to the facility working group and it has come back with the recommendation. The recommendation stands as it was, to accept the bid and take alternate 1 and alternate 2. Then reject alternate 3 and apply for grant funding in order to assist with the funding for this project, as well as a portion of alternate 3 if that is possible. I will make one note that the application for that first step in the grant was mailed off today. So that has been started and we will find out more as the fall progresses. So before you tonight is the recommendation on the RHS Tower restoration bid.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the recommendation of the RSH Tower restoration.
Motion by Jeff Slifer,
I'll second.
second by Nicole Stoltz. Any questions or comments?
I guess I have a question. You wanna go first?
Well, mine's just a comment.
Okay, so we're accepting number 1, right? But that says to remove the boiler.
But alternate 3 is the actual to remove. So the alternate 3 options, number 1. So you have 3 options with alternate 1. Or I mean alternate 3, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we're accepting the alternate 1 that goes with the bid.
Got it.
The options that you see in that recommendation are only coordinating with alternate 3.
Got it.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a little confusing, I'm sorry.
But the comment that I wanted to make is I wanted to thank everybody for us pulling in and having the meeting, because it come a lot clearer when we had a discussion about it. So I appreciate the extra step that we took, because I feel like now that we fully understand understand.
Yeah, it was much more clear after we had some time to sit down and go over it.
And I think there was some confusion because, well, at least on my half, I mean, they were combining two projects in the bid process, and I had a problem separating the smokestack from the Tallard. But anyway, thank you for allowing the board to have the additional time, so.
Agreed.
And thanks for cramming it in and getting the grant in on time.
Board members, this will come back to you when the actual contract, what you're doing tonight is making the award to whoever's recommended.
Okay. Have a chill of coffee.
Yeah. And the minutes will reflect that the apparent low bidder's bid is not responsive to the specifications of the notice to bidders.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Scout.
Okay, the next item before you is the pool filtration replacement bid. This is the contract. We have already awarded the bid. This is simply the follow-up contract to that. Just a note that the bids were received and opened on Friday, July 8th, 2022. We did publish the notice to bidders in the Palladium item on June 17th and June 22nd, 2022. Proof of publication and all bid documents are on file in the business office. The bid was awarded to Spirit Corporation on July 27th, 2022. So tonight it's formalizing the contract on that bid award.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the pool filtration replacement bid.
Motion by Nicole Stoltz,
I'll second.
second by Jeff Schleifer. Any questions or comments?
Is that project complete already? Is that right? Is that what I read
It
this
is-
week on the?
Yes, due to timing, we went ahead and allowed the notice to begin on the June 27th or July 27th meeting. So work has begun. It is not quite finished, but it will be soon. We will have to start practices. Another neighboring school is being generous enough to offer us the time in their space while that work is being completed. But it should wrap mid-September completely. What I will say is this is the last portion of the 2020 bonds that needed completed. And so once that's done, it will just be some final cleanup on a few other items, and then that bond will have all projects complete. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Just Ms. Scout.
Yes, Mrs. Scalpers also will carry 5.05 through 5.06.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Mrs. Scout.
yeah, before you tonight is the request to advertise for the Dennis HVAC project. This project will be funded primarily with ESSER funds. We do expect, we don't know where the bids will come in. We expect them to be pretty substantial, but the bulk of the project is through the ESSER funding in ESSER 3. So tonight you have the specification sheets before you, and this is the request to advertise for that project.
Thank you.
I make the motion.
Motion by Jeff Schleifer,
I'll second.
second by Nicole Stoltz. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Scout.
Okay, then the last action item I have for you is an update to the original contract with Maze Design for the Dennis HVAC project. Items were necessary to be added to that original service plan, and that is what is here before you tonight. So that is recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Scout.
I'll make the motion again.
Motion by Jeff Schleifer,
Second.
second by Aaron Stevens. And this is item 5.06, professional services proposal for Dennis HVAC upgrades phase 2 Maze Design.
Correct.
Just to get that on the record. Yes, Mr. Mr. Moore, you have a question?
You? I'm just holding my pencil, sorry.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. 5107, Dr. Wright.
President Weber, trustees, I ask that Assistant Superintendent Don Sanson join us for action items 5.07 through 5.10. Mrs. Sanson.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. Good evening, Board. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees accepts the MOU between Richmond Community Schools and the trustees of Indiana University as presented for the 22-23 school year. The purpose of this arrangement is to create an early-in pathway to IU East for the school's college track juniors and seniors. This item is being brought back to you from the last board meeting with revised language.
Thank you.
All motion, we approve 5.07.
Motion by Brad Walton,
Second.
second by Aaron Stevens. Any questions or comments?
I think this is a great benefit for students. His classes are free, $350 or $450, so to be able to have that covered is fantastic.
No, I appreciate the partnership, that we're, working together on this. So thank you guys for your work on that.
No problem, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Sonsini?
Thank you. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees accept the contract for Fairview Elementary School from NIET for professional development for the fall 2022 semester as presented. The Fairview team has requested additional NIET support services. This support includes 4 additional on-site or virtual coaching days. Training will be funded using the School Improvement Grant professional development funds for Fairview. The attached contract is for Fairview Elementary School.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the Fairview NIET contract as presented.
Motion by Nicole Stoltz,
Second.
second by Aaron Stevens. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Sonsini?
Thank you. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees accepts the revisions to the Richmond High School Student Handbook as presented. The purpose is to have students arrive to class on time to eliminate constant disruptions to teaching and learning, as well as students learning a soft skill that employers value. This has been approved by the RHS REA building reps and has been taken to corporate REA discussion. Again, this is the RHS admin tardy procedures added to the student handbook.
Thank you.
Make the motion. We accept the revisions to the student handbook.
Motion by Jeff Schleifer,
Second.
second by Kristen Brunton. Any questions or comments?
I want to just make the comment that I'm glad that we are trying to implement some soft skills. I do know that that is something that employers, I hear that repeatedly, that it's a frustration that students a lot of times don't have those skills when they come to work. And so anything that we can do to lay that foundation, I think we should be doing. So, thank you.
Can I? The wording says first step, second step. Does that mean first tardy or?
Just level of intervention.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Sonsini?
Thank you. My last item for this evening is the RHS overnight field trip for the Devilettes. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees accept the overnight field trip request for Richmond High School as presented. The goal is for our Devilettes to learn multiple dance routines for the upcoming school year. In addition, team bonding activities will be planned. This event will take place on September 16th and 17th at First English Lutheran Church.
Thank you.
I move to approve action item 5.10, the overnight field trip for the Devilettes.
Second.
Motion by Aaron Stevens, second by Brad Walton. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to policy review and update. We have 2 policies on second reading. I'd be happy to entertain a long motion.
I make the motion that we combine 6.01, policy 4840, criminal organization activity in schools, and 6.02, policy 5320, purchase of supplies and materials, that we approve these for second reading.
Motion by Jeff Slifer, second, thank you. Second.
I'll do it.
Second by Keith Moray. Any questions or comments on those 2 policies? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to item 6.03 and 6.04, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we move 6.03, policy 4513, care of school property, and 6.04, policy 4630, appropriate disciplinary measures, to second reading.
Motion by Brad Walton,
I'll second.
second by Nicole Stoltz. Any questions or comments on either of those 2 policies? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, board reports and discussion. I know we've had some meetings recently, so item 7.01, educational planning working group. Would any of those members like to update the board?
We talked about, or we had a STEAM update, and I know that a STEM integration grant has been submitted, which Cassie worked on, so thank you, Cassie. And so we're waiting to hear back from that, but I think some decisions have been made, at least with working with someone at Indiana University. And I guess the next step is for some of the ideas that have been brainstormed to then go to finance and to facilities to kind of see where the money's coming from and how the facility would need to be altered to make some of those hopes come true. And I know the coordinator position, who will coordinate that, will be listed soon, or posted, I guess.
So is
Coming up.
is it Scribner? Is that how you say his name?
Dr. Scribner?
Okay, Dr. Scribner. So he is not going to be coordinating. He's more
Consulting.
consulting.
So that
Okay.
was, over the summer, we had a small team of educators from Hibbing that went to a conference in Bloomington, the ISTEAM conference. And so they had a great experience. And so they'd like to continue that professional development for the STEAM initiative. So we submitted the grant, and that grant would be for additional consulting work with Dr. Scribner.
Okay.
Also on Steam, there was some unusual language, or language I hadn't seen before. Arts integrated STEAM. How is that? I hadn't seen arts integrated broke out before. Is that something different, or is that just a different way to say it? Or
I think that's just the way they package that professional development in Bloomington.
Yeah, I wondered that too, because I was like, okay, is integrated arts into STEM different than just a STEAM program? It's just a marketing thing?
It's just a marketing.
Okay. Okay.
That answers that. Thank you.
And we had an educator at Lily Vincent who went over the summer to that conference, and she is one of our art educators, and so she really had a great experience in terms of working with other content to figure out how that all integrates together. I think it's in process, and it's just something that will continue to, as she worked with other educators, grow that idea. I did not personally attend that training, so I could definitely gather some more information though, just to bring clarity to that topic.
It just was an unusual phrasing, and I didn't know. I liked it because I think it seemed to emphasize the arts piece.
And we were definitely keeping that A in the STEAM initiative.
Right. Well, it made me think that it was more integrating arts into the, science, technology, engineering, math, as opposed to STEAM would be more focus on science, focus on technology, focus on engineering, focus on arts, focus on math, like more in isolation as opposed to the arts integrating into everything. So I'd be interested to know wish list. Like, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Do you have more on education?
Like 5 other items.
Yeah.
Billy Wright came to our meeting, which was really helpful to hear about the mentoring program that he's got moving, and I was very impressed with that. Keith could probably talk about it too, but it's Students with a Purpose. He's got over 40 people, adults, community members, teachers trained now, and working with students. Something he said that really stuck with me was that it's mentoring, like character and leadership development. It's not like mentoring to be for troubled students. I mean, it may be, that's one category, but you know, mentoring at all levels. So it may be students who just need help deciding, you know, maybe a troubling time right now, or maybe a student who's doing fine but just needs help and guidance knowing where to go next. So it's kind of all encompassing. He talked about that's kind of the high school, middle school level, and moving down into the elementary school, you know, working with students there, but focusing primarily on the mentoring and leadership. And I know that the board has already approved the curriculum that's being used, and he kind of talked a little bit about some of the goals and kind of some of the soft skills or skills that, you know, are life skills that can help students move forward in all aspects of their life.
How do people reach out to get into this? So how do they reach out to get attached?
My understanding is teacher recommendation for students that may need some guidance. So he does have a group of students or students that are being worked with now.
I don't remember the name of there's a course that's available.
Interpersonal relations, is that what you're referencing at RHS? Or?
I thought it was at Dennis.
Oh, yes, you mean the skills, yeah, the basic skills.
Basic skills. So it is like that's a program that a student could be involved in as one of their courses at the school, and I think that's useful because it allows for a closer relationship between that teacher and those students, and I think once you can build on that, a lot of that other stuff is able to come on.
So that would actually be in addition to, I mean, you would count that class as an additional group.
Yeah, and so I think, I don't know if you want to talk to that at all, but we identified a need to kind of differentiate between the previously existing or still developing in a new form study buddy program and what we're doing here.
Sure. I can try to elaborate just a little bit. So we do have skills courses at Dennis and then a basic skills development class at RHS that are using pieces of that curriculum within. Then we also have the one-on-one mentoring. I know that Mr. Wright spoke to our principals today about how they could nominate elementary students students to their principal to then begin that conversation, sending home parent letters and getting that one-on-one contact. And then can you restate that second question?
Well, you had talked about needing to differentiate what we're doing with these mentor things in the study buddy program.
Yes, thank you. So previously with this role of Director of Student Support, we used mentoring, we used the term study buddies. Since that position was dissolved at Richmond years ago, communities and schools stepped in and were wanting to bring back study buddies. So we just actually had a conversation about this yesterday. So our communities and schools focus with study buddies is focused on reading one-on-one with students or homework support, and the commitment of a CIS mentor is 30 minutes each week. So that program is in place and we are super excited about that partnership, as we know every child could benefit from a mentor in our district. But the second piece then is this character, life skills mentoring program through Students with a Purpose. So we're just expanding that umbrella not only to encompass our secondary students, but now our elementary. So honestly, we'll have more options to determine what path the student would take. Would we recommend that student for communities and schools study buddy mentor because of an academic focus, or we go a second route, which would be the Students with a Purpose, more of the character building. So we are excited to offer both of those mentoring programs this school year. And I will add, during the first few days of school, I had the opportunity to sub in one of these skills classes, And Mr. Wright came the previous 2 days before that, and I said I was not a fan favorite. They loved Mr. Wright in that classroom, and he had already implemented the first 2 days lessons from the Students with a Purpose mentor on self-discipline. And just asking the students about their experience, they were very excited. And it's hard to excite middle schoolers. And again, I felt like coming in on that third day to fill in, I wasn't as prepared as Mr. Wright. And so when I was asking, what did they do yesterday? Tell me about self-discipline. Hands were going up. So I was just really excited to see that energy around the work.
So are they set up to support them after school, before school, during lunch? I mean, if right now we have 40 students, but if we counted our middle school and we counted the high school, I mean, if teachers identified 200 students.
We don't have the capacity yet to serve 200 students. We're continuing to recruit mentors. I think right now we are looking at a handful at each elementary building, so we're in that process of identifying who those students would be and then looking at that student's profile and what matches them in terms of a mentor, so then assigning a mentor based on their needs. So I can continue to provide updates on how that mentoring program is going and how many students are being impacted.
Because there'll have to be some kind of a filter or some kind of a selection process. So.
And I apologize for clarity. I believe what Mrs. Brunt mentioned when she referenced 40 plus was the actual mentors.
That have been trained already. They're ready.
Yes.
So if a community member wants to be a mentor, what's that process look like?
We would ask that they contact Mr. Wright, and then we would do a volunteer background check, and then he would train them on the Students with a Purpose content to go out to the buildings.
We're ready now, so if
We are ready
rings
now.
off the hook tomorrow,
Yes.
that's a good thing.
And is that the same process for the study buddies?
The study buddies go through Susan Miller with Communities in Schools.
All right, so.
And then the site coordinators would work with the principal to identify those students.
Okay, so anybody listening or watching, how would you get a hold of Mr. Wright and how would you get a hold of Susan Miller? Those are my questions.
If you contacted our central office location and asked our receptionist, they would be able to connect.
Okay.
And or visit the website where information is such. Also to answer your question, Mr. Schleifer, and I believe Mr. Moore referenced it, students will also be identified by their academic achievement or lack thereof with regard to the program, and indeed with the after school piece that will be put in place. Indeed, that coupled with other supports that will come from that position should indeed provide, as Mr. Sansini referenced, as the students experience there at Dennis, a unique opportunity.
I've had several people reach out to me over the years. I mean, you could send an email to every church in town and you'd probably get 500 volunteers tomorrow. So.
Well, and that's the other piece, and which addressing, I don't want to steal any thunder, Mr. Brennan, but there have indeed been a handful of clergy who've also been trained, and indeed have a unique program that we will be introducing that's going to be very supportive of our faculty and staff, if they so choose.
I think like Central United Methodist, that they sponsored a whole school board. I mean, just, so I'm excited to see this moving forward. I think this is good for our kids.
The other thing I would add is Mr. Wright is working individually with each principal, so it could be before school, it could be after school, it could be during lunch. We try to avoid instructional time throughout the day, but those individual conversations are happening so that principals can provide feedback on what works best for their building.
If there's some way that you can, I mean, I don't want to create extra work. We all know that everybody has enough to do, but it would be nice to know if there's some way that we could track how many students, so we can monitor their growth and figure out how to evaluate it.
And there is a log sheet, so every time a student is met with, that's being logged, so we can definitely provide updates.
And indeed, there's a database that has been created to do just that. There also is another program that is being proposed to serve as a supplement to the study buddy that has shown success in the past. Check and Connect is the name of that particular program, for those that may be familiar with it.
It'd be interesting to see how we would evaluate it. I mean, that will be difficult, but I mean, that kind of information is I wish we had areas that we did a better job of evaluating. And this would be one. I know the study buddies were very successful. I think this is a level above that. So I guess if it's not working, we'll hear that rather soon. So, but okay. Thank you. Mrs. Brent, do you have any additional?
You feel free to jump in, Kate. But
She's only got two. She's got three more.
We talked about middle school courses, like in the future, about offering maybe some different types of classes that the exploratory language classes, industrial arts classes, theater, something that would pull in some of those, or like home ec sort of class, something that pull in some of those important skills that maybe we've lost over the years, and maybe to help the enjoyment for students too, of taking a class that's gonna maybe be extra interest. So that's kind of in the future. So the discussion was had about that. Nothing changing right now, but anything.
Yeah, no, I just think that to have those thoughts in mind as we think about schedules for the upcoming year, and how many sections, as students at RHS are choosing things, how can we be creative? Is there a place where we could have a high school teacher who has 3 sections of something there, jump over and do a couple sections over at the middle school? Just being creative and finding ways to keep kids engaged.
So I actually helped out I did a field trip today with a different school district, sorry. I was spying, in Centerville. No, my mom is working part-time as a home ec teacher there. And so the field trip was to go to a garden and pick the actual produce, and then they're gonna be taking that back and making something. And just the excitement that the kids had for that class was extremely fun to see, and I would, I'm just thinking, I would love to see us offer some, our kids need to know how to cook, and especially if that's something that they are wanting to study and have an interest in. And so I'm glad to hear that the conversation's already starting on some of these options. So yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, we could maybe do this at RCS. So yay, I'm glad to hear that's kind of something we're discussing already.
It's great to hear, if I may add, that your mother is still active and still unable to sit still, as I was
We
teasing
had her
her
last year as a long-term sub, but Centerville picked her up this year, and there were words discussed between us. I was like, we need you, but all that to say, yeah. For now, yes.
It's interesting that my wife actually graduated with a degree in economics and a secondary degree in Spanish. And as soon as she finished college, the school system started eliminating home economics. So therefore she ended up getting her reading degrees.
There you go.
Mrs. Brent?
We talked about the student success climate assessment that Dr. Parker from IU East has created a proposal for that. And the idea is just to look at the climate of RCS students and staff and figure out, starting with the survey, what we can do to make it better. So this is all part of a grant, the final part of the grant that's being used, so that we kind of talked about how that's going to begin.
This was a grant that was initiated with REA in collaboration with ISDA, and so last year there was professional development at First English Lutheran Church, and so that was the first step. And so this is the matching grant, and so we have started to brainstorm what ways we can utilize these funds. So we're definitely in a brainstorming stage. We continue to engage some of our educators and what that might look like.
Thank you.
Just the other thing that I think we talked about a little bit that's coming up really quickly is Challenge Day. So I don't know if that was on the agenda. I can hold off if you want me to, but next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Dennis will be doing Challenge Day. They're gonna be working with essentially a third of, I think they're doing all the 8th graders. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Yeah, all the 8th graders on those 3 days. They'll use lots of adult volunteer, so I would encourage any of you that have time available on Monday, it's a full day commitment. It is a lot, but it's incredibly powerful, and when you finish, you go, wow, it's an amazing experience.
I would recommend anybody who's on the board who's not done one, please get there and do one, because it's moving. And you really open your eyes to a lot of different situations. It's just moving.
But I think Challenge Day is a really challenging program to describe, but essentially it's encouraging kids to recognize that they're all going through lots of things right now, that we all have challenges, and that we can support each other instead of bringing each other down, and how we can uplift each other and be supportive of each other. I think it has the potential to really help bring our 8th grade crew together. So I'm hopeful that the staff and the teacher and the students there really have a good experience with that. So
If anyone's
it's a plug for
interested,
Challenge Day.
please, you are welcome to contact me, or you can contact Leslie Bolser. She's coordinating all of the mentors for Challenge Day. And lastly, just thank you to Reed Health for being a sponsor and cheerleader for this work, not only for Richmond Community Schools, but for all of Wayne County and surrounding counties to offer Challenge Day. It is a very pricey event, but definitely worth the time. So thank you to Reed.
Yeah,
in the United Way.
big thanks, because the reality is it's going to be just for the program, not the meals that Reed will provide or the t-shirts, just the program and the facilitators, and that whole thing for 3 days is about $20 grand. So Reed is really putting out a whole lot of money
We
to help.
last did Challenge Day in 19, is that correct? It's pre-COVID.
20.
Probably 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So it's been a while, and that was with freshmen, I believe? Was that
8th grade.
Okay.
3 years.
It might have been with
It
freshmen.
was
They did
housed-
for a while with
It
freshmen,
was
but I
housed
don't
at
know.
the high school, but they
Must
came
have
over
moved.
from, because it was in the small gymnasium.
Will it be at Dennis this time?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
So I think post-COVID, that's where we're at. I think it's time. And
Yep.
It's like, I think many of us have done it, so it's a good experience for all. Anything else?
Yes. Finally, we talked about NIET. I know that we talked about it a lot in board meetings, and we've heard presentations, and we've heard from Fairview and Dennis, but this is kind of looking at the future of NIET and just how that may look in the future with visits and the communication, I guess, and the stakeholders too, of how the future is gonna look with NIET. That's it.
And with that particular framework, if I can just add, what a better time than now to have such an instructional framework of support for our educators. And again, as we've said time and again, the framework is designed to be supportive of our classroom teachers, to make sure that indeed we're pouring into them so that they can pour into the students.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to item 7.02, building and grounds. I know there was one meeting.
Well, we made reference to it earlier in the meeting. We had pulled the board agenda item off and met and had that discussion. Other than that, that meeting was specifically with one topic. Karen tried to sneak in a number 2 topic, but it was strictly one topic. So we have a lot of things in our building and grounds committee that we need to start. And from hearing, looks like we got some coming from education, so we need to schedule some. We'll get some meetings scheduled and start moving forward.
All right.
I was able to visit McGuire Hall just to check out the renovations. I believe you've been over there too recently. It is looking great. Very exciting just to see everything coming together after all that process. And then while I was over there, I met with RAM director Sean Dingworth. He is already having people tell him we'd love to collaborate, and have events here. You know, people are already thinking McGuire Hall is an option on the table, possibly, you know, so, it sounds like we're gonna have people reaching out, and that's exciting too, just those opportunities.
That's what we want.
Yes, exactly. I know that's exactly what the redevelopment commission was wanting in giving all of that money towards that project, so I'm glad to see that community leaders are already starting to think in those terms, so, they'll be ringing you soon, Dr. Wright, saying,
already have.
let's talk.
I already have. I actually have a
Okay.
meeting set for next week. So yeah.
Great. I was glad to hear that.
All right, moving on to 7.03, finance.
We have not met, we're meeting Monday.
Our meeting.
I have not scheduled that yet because some of us are still working on things that would require that meeting. So I have
I was gonna say, I didn't
purposely
have a
not
schedule.
scheduled that.
I thought we were scheduled.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. We kind of decided to table that until I got closer to the budget being done, and so I'm still working night and day actually. So will to be announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be announced.
All right. Sunday at midnight.
Be there or be square.
Yeah, finance has some work to do as well. Moving on to 7.04, marketing. I believe there was a meeting.
There was, and I was there. We talked about, we looked over the redesign of the strategic plan poster, and that looks great. We had Q7 work on that. It was included in the funds that we've been receiving from Reed Health, as far as hiring, you know, for Q7 to do that, so, and looks great. We also talked about business card layouts, social media channel data, just kind of looking through like what our social reach looks like, and then also discuss some video producing workshops that we're looking at doing, which sounded very helpful. So I don't know, Dr. Wright, did you want to talk about that at all, as far as the video producing workshops?
Absolutely, as we indeed look to improve upon transparency, communication, not only with, amongst our faculty staff, but also with regard to the district community, and more importantly, sharing all of the amazing things that are happening within our classroom, teachers, students, the community, volunteerism, as well as, again, just the efforts that our community continues to put in for one another, and indeed looking to potentially bring in a consultant to address some of the challenges that we've had in past practice with again, sharing and promoting those positivities. And so I know that one of the things that we will indeed have coming out later this week is I believe a great PSA that explains how indeed our leadership team, our faculty and staff, how it all comes together. And so look out for it as that, and many other ideas will give us an opportunity to again share our stories.
Well, one of the things that we've identified that we want to do better is communicate. And so that is something that marketing is looking at. How can we do that better? You know, what are some, and we need training, and we need tools, and we need help. And so, and I believe I'd shared with the group that I was planning on meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, Melissa Vance, as well as Paul Liddy, and in speaking with them, that was part of our dialogue was just, RCS communicating better. And so that's what we're looking at with marketing, is how to do that. So we're trying to figure it out. And if you don't mind, John, I would love to just kind of give an update as far, I know we don't have like exec committee as one of our, like, can I explain to the rest of the group that we are, regarding meeting with the REA, that Patsy referenced, we do have that in the works, just so the rest of the group does know. We were told last week that they would like to meet with us again. we had ended the last meeting saying that we'd be open to meeting again as the exec committee with the exec committee of REA, and so we have indeed started looking at dates to schedule. The dates that were proposed didn't work for everyone. It's very important for all of us to be there, so we are looking at getting some dates that are going to work for all of us. So just wanted to make sure that everybody knew where we were on that.
All right. Anything else for board reports and discussion? Yes.
I do have one more thing. Filing ends soon as far as school board member positions. So if anybody's wanting to get in on that, Kristen signed up, and we have one other person. So we do have open seats.
If there aren't enough candidates filed, then the board would then appoint, if the current member did not want to. I mean, obviously they didn't run, but we would appoint if there was no votes filed, so just in case you're wondering.
It ends the 26th at noon.
It's Friday.
All right.
And you need 10 or 20 signatures before?
Need 10, but they have to be verified, so we recommend getting 20.
Yeah. Before noon on Friday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other board reports and discussion? All right, moving on to preview of upcoming meetings and events.
President Weber, trustees, our next scheduled school board meeting will be Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, right here in the boardroom. By that point, we indeed look to have more positive news to share on the student achievement front, as well as with regard to the performing arts and related arts, athletics, and so many other, as we heard this evening, bowling, and so many things to share on that night.
All right, thank you. Dr. Bellringer?
Finally, just as a bell ringer, just again, and I do apologize to Command Sergeant Major Morris, because he indeed was not looking to receive any acknowledgement for what he's been doing for so long in replacing the flags throughout the district, throughout the entire corporation. And again, with that, as Mr. Stevens mentioned, that being more than symbolic, and for him just to selflessly be able to serve in that function, I loved it, and still just get goosebumps to know that there are still so many folks that have such pride and honor in our country and what comes with such service. And so he even has assured that in the corporation, for example, here at the administration building, that he occasionally makes sure that in the evening the light is still working like it's supposed to. Of course, we have protocols and provisions but that's the extra special touch that he puts on it. And like I said, as an old history teacher, it moved me. And so I know he wasn't looking for it, but that was great.
Well, I'm going to take a little privilege as on the other end of the youth spectrum, we have a young soccer coach. Carson Jones is in his third year. He was head coach for 2 years, and prior to that, I think he was an assistant for 2 years. He's from the Mount Vernon area, and RCS defeated Mount Vernon last week. Coach Jones was elated, and but I think the best thing about Coach Jones is that young man was selected for honors and awards, I think 2 years as a lay coach. So he was up on that stage, and the most exciting part is he's now a social studies teacher at the high school. He's on the second floor with a fantastic group of folks, and I just I can't say enough. I mean, I've known the young man for a while. He coaches with his dad, which I think is a unique, awesome experience for a family to have, and that to have him to have success with students, to have special time on the field, to have that experience with his father, and to be an RCS teacher at RHS. I wanted to give him a little extra shout out. So congratulations to Coach Jones, and I'm thrilled he's part of our team.
And the boys soccer team is currently undefeated, so we're excited for that.
And the 7th and 8th grade football team just beat Centerville 32-6.
So, all kinds of.
Anytime we beat Centerville, it's good.
Cross country just had their first meet this last Saturday. So
And they did very well too, I believe. Third or fourth?
I'm not sure.
So, and they will be in town, I believe, one other time for the, I think it's called the Wayne County Invitational.
They will, yes.
Or something. So, we'll have one more opportunity to see them in IU East. Anything else?
Just it occurs to me that we've had now 2 meetings in a row where we've heard from sports that aren't always considered, or I don't band maybe isn't. Maybe band isn't considered a sport, but I will tell you they practice every bit, if not more.
They
than
work
a
as
lot
hard
of,
as anyone
yeah,
else.
absolutely. We've just heard from the last 2 weeks. We've heard from band and bowling about kids that are working their butts off with a lot of self-funding from these places, and I think that's impressive to me, and just kudos to all of those little groups out there that aren't always heard about as much as the sports, the Friday Night Lights, etc., etc. They're doing some good stuff. It's impressive. Yeah,
John,
So,
if
well
I may
done.
coattail on what he's saying, several of us got our letters here when we were here, okay, and pictures on the wall and stuff like this. But in today's modern society, those students in the band, those students who are bowling, those things are not considered, one of the big 3 in sports. Nevertheless, you tell a child who's spending 20 hours a week going out and marching or at a bowling alley and doing this, or 50-some games a day, it is very important. I would follow up on what we were asked today, and that is, let's find places for those trophies. We have noticeable places for the 1973 band and the 1988 band at high school. We should also, we're going to continue to honor them, but let's do the same thing for those men and young ladies who have gone out and worn the R for us, representing us in bowling as well.
7th in the nation seems pretty
Pretty significant.
Yeah, for sure.
Well said. Anything else? Meeting adjourned.